Hi everybody, this is Colin with Blocksmith again, and I'm here for our next challenge in the Learning with Blocksmith series. And today is one challenge that's actually going to be kind of different from the rest because it's going to be one of the more advanced challenges. And this is the flying drone challenge. So I'm going to try and create a virtual drone, just made out of some of the Blocksmith shapes, and see if I can animate and program that drone to actually fly at my commands while, I'll probably create some kind of game situation where I have to dodge some cars and, maybe, while I'm kind of trying to look and fly this drone all at the same time. So it should be a blast. Definitely, hang in for the whole session. But first off, I do just want to mention really quick that if you haven't been to this stream before, if you haven't heard of Blocksmith, Blocksmith itself is and the BlocksmithXR Builder is a tool that you can use to create games and experiences for all kinds of devices, including virtual reality. And the game that I'm going to be making today, I kind of have a virtual reality device in mind that I want to design it for, but I'll delve a little bit more into that later. So just remember, anything you can make can be played on most devices, including Macs, PCs, Chromebooks, etc. Also, we'll show some of the some really cool things in the builder, like how you can actually animate something, how you can program it to work with those animations and even fly. And I also want to just point out really quickly that if you're using this the YouTube live stream to learn, that's awesome. However, there is a much faster and easier learning system actually inside the builder itself that you can use to actually learn how to make your own games and 3D content. So definitely check that out, and I'll have more information about that in the description of this video. So without any more ado, I'll get started. And like I said, today will be that virtual flying drone challenge. So unlike a few of my previous streams, I'm not going to actually start with just totally a blank slate today. Instead, I'm going to hit load here, and in my experiences, but also in the BlocksmithXR workspace, under everything, there's this drone flying challenge experience. So I'm going to load that. And this is just a little level that I've prepared for this stream, so I can just kind of make this game a little bit faster and a little bit easier than, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time doing, a lot of the terrain editing or detail work that I've spent time on in the streams in the past, because I want to get to some new stuff. So that hopefully having this existing scene will allow us to get to a lot of that new cool content. But before I get to the new content, I just really want to explain how this works, because specifically how this scene is kind of set up, because this is a public scene. And the model that I will be using, the little basic 3D drone 3D model, these are both up live right now. So if you're watching, you can actually go in and load both of those and follow along with my stream right now to create your own drone flying project. So you can actually, participate and do this challenge as I'm doing it using the exact same tools as well. So, or if you're watching this later, you can do the exact same thing. It will be saved up there. You might need to search for it, but yeah, you can just load this level. It's basically a template, and then just make it into your own game. So if you're doing that approach, and if you aren't, I'll just really quickly explain how this scene, how this level is set up, so you can create your own project out of it as well, or maybe you're just curious. So the most obvious thing is this little canyon I have here going through the center of my scene, and that's my road group. And you can see when I click on it, something kind of weird happens, which is it turns kind of yellow, and it's obviously very big. And so what is actually going on here is that I've set up this canyon area with a little road going through it. And the idea is that, let me focus on my player really quick. So I'm going to click on the home button there, is that my drone will be positioned right about here, on the road. And I need to, this isn't a very high flying drone. Maybe it's just a very heavy drone. And so it's pretty low flying, and I'll need to dodge cars in this canyon because I can't get over the walls or the mountain rim there here. So I'll need to, be dodging these cars and everything while, controlling this drone and looking around. So that's the setup for my road here. And the reason why it's yellow, or the reason why it's animated, that's what that little purple icon means, is that I'm simulating the drone actually flying. So instead of programming the drone to fly on its own, and I'm just kind of like running along behind it trying to control it, I'll just be stationary, and so will my drone. Instead, everything will come towards us, and that's a great little tool to simulate driving down a road or moving through a city or something where you don't really want to control the player, or really control the player's backward and forward movement, and instead just kind of do right or horizontal movement, or maybe vertical movement. So that's the reason why I've animated this whole level. One other thing that I want to point out, which might be obvious too if you've worked with Blocksmith in the BlocksmithXR builder before, is my style. So I said before that I was kind of planning on making this specifically for virtual reality. You can play it on PC, but I think it will work even better in virtual reality. And the virtual reality device I have in mind is an Oculus Quest. And I know that the Oculus Quest will use this stylized style within the Blocksmith viewer. And so I'm going to be designing my scene using that stylized style, just to have that same kind of graphic style when I actually build the scene, as I would when I'm playing it on my VR headset. So I have that set to that stylized art style, just so I can kind of get a sense of what this would actually look like in VR. And this is very basically similar to what it would look like if I actually put on a headset right now and opened up this project. You would see pretty much that exact scene right here, except for I'm trying to get to the player's perspective. There we go. Except from right about there. Okay. So first thing that I actually want to kind of build with my scene, and also, I'm going to go over some of the other objects in my scene later as we get to them, and I'll explore kind of what's going on there. But basically, like I said, I want to have that drone in the scene that I can control, and I'll control it using these little triangles here, my little control buttons. And then you can also see with my variable here, that will just simply count how many cars I actually am able to dodge, and that will basically be like my score counter. And that is programmed with this trigger right behind my player. So any of the cars that I'm actually able to get past, my trigger will detect them. That's what those triggers are great for. And then make sure that it's a car, and then it will just add 1 point to my cars dodged variable or score counter, and then it will destroy those cars that are entering it. So I'm doing some cleanup in the background too. So I'm actually making sure that I don't have cars continuing on behind me, because I don't really care about that, since the game is gonna just happen in front of me. Okay, and then just to show you where those cars are coming from, on my far end of my canyon here, I have 3 cars parked. However, since I want to dodge more than just 3 cars, I'll be using spawners, which we've talked about in a few of the live streams over the past few weeks. Spawners to create these cars, every few seconds, and then just kind of launch them with the power right down this road. So let me, I won't put them in the spawners right now, but you'll get the idea of what that looks like in a minute. But like I said, first thing I actually want to do is start with my drone. Seeing if I can actually have it fly in the air, and see if I can control it with those right and left buttons. And just to repeat this, because I think this is a pretty fun exercise. You can follow along with what I'm doing right now, because both this scene exactly as it is and my drone model, which I'll add right now, so basic drone, are shared publicly on the Blocksmith XR space. So if I go to BlocksmithXR here and I search for drone, then you can anybody can see this. They can add that little basic drone to their scene, and you can see that it's it's not super detailed. However, I have just animated the propellers on it, so I have that kind of just propeller spinning on it, so it looks at least a little realistic. And I'll just put this on the ground in front of my player. All right, right about there. Okay, so yep, there we go. There's my drone. Anybody can use that. And then just like I mentioned earlier, anybody can also open up this scene if you want. I was going to show that one more time, but it looks like I might have to, yeah, I might lose some progress on my scene here. So just remember, you can hit load, go to everything under BlocksmithXR, and you'll be able to find this scene, and then in the builder you can find that drone as well. So definitely follow along. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do now to actually start the game, this will basically be my on button, or my game start button, is program this drone to play some kind of animation both on the scene and on itself. And the animation on itself will be pretty simple. It'll just be, flying up in the air, and I'll have it tilt forward a little bit so it's, because those quadcopters, those drones need, a little bit of an angle to fly. So I'll put an angle on it, and I think about a 1 second animation sounds good. I'll have that ease in, so accelerate in to this animation. And like I said, I want to use a program to actually have that animation start when I click on the drone. So instead of looking at this like I talked about earlier, I actually want to click on this. So I'm going to say on interaction start, and that basically means when this thing is clicked on. Then I want another object in my scene. Oh, nope, excuse me. I want myself, and then I'll actually do what I just did. I want myself to play an animation. So I just got a little warning that said this little vertical flying animation has been set to play at a trigger, which basically means it will just play whenever I click on it. But I also want something else to play whenever I click on it, and that is this road animation. So let me go back up to my road group here. I'm going to say other object, and I want my road to start moving forwards or start moving towards me, so I can get that sense of kind of moving forward on this road. So I want this to also play its animation. All right, so let's test this really quick. I just want to make sure that when I click on the drone, it rises into the air and that my road actually starts moving towards me. All right, so just played the viewer. Now I'm in my player's shoes, and I can see at the far end, you can see kind of the headlights on those cars, but I really want to check out my drone here. So there we go. Drone flew up in the air, and now it's kind of like I'm flying down this road. So that is pretty perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of recenter that drone a little bit. I noticed that it was just a little bit, not centered on my two little buttons there. And that's actually the next step that I'll take. I want to actually be able to program this drone to move left or move right on my commands. And instead of, using another click, so I have to click on this or click, 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 to have it move left a whole bunch of times. This is going to be a pretty fast-paced game, so I'm actually, for these, I'm just going to use an event that we haven't used in these live streams before, but still very, very useful, and it's called Look at Start, and that basically means when I start looking at this object, it will perform some kind of action, and the action that I want it to do is to have this drone move, in this case, I'll have it move left. Well, actually, I'll start with the right side, just to kind of keep that in order. So what I want my drone is a new animation. So I've just created a new animation. And I'm going to use press my X key to have my little red line appear there. That basically means that this will only move on the X axis now. So if I try and move my animation, forward or up, I can't. I can only move it horizontally on that X axis. Super handy tool if you're ever working with ever want to move it along a single axis. Okay, so that's my right movement, and I'll speed this animation up. I want that to happen faster, so I'm going to lower the duration it takes to do that animation to about 0.6 seconds, and I'll create the exact same animation for the left side. So once again, add new animation, hold that X key, So I can only move it on that x-axis, and I want it to go right to the side of the road, just like that. Perfect. And then just like my other one, I want it to go to 0.6 seconds. And I will also have these animations ease in, so accelerate in other words. Okay, so I have my animations, but I haven't programmed them yet. So let me just take a quick look at my animation. So it looks like animation 2 is right, and then animation 3 is left. So I'm going to click on my right button and work with animation 2, in other words. So when I look at this button, so look at start, then I want another object, my drone, to, let's see, play animation, and I want a specific animation now because I have 3 animations, and like I said, animation 2 was right, so there we go. Play animation 2 from the right direction, and on my left button I'll do the exact same thing. So on look at start, then myself, and I want that to be other object, basic drone, play animation, oop, there we go, animation 3, because that is my left movement animation. Now, a really important setting here is something that I've kind of glossed over a little bit, and that is this line right here. It's the start at position. And that basically means that, if I have it set to original position, that animation will always start from right here. That's the drone's original position. However, instead of just always starting from this, this location right here, I actually want my drone to start playing that animation from wherever it's located. So let's say, it's moved left. I've done that movement once, and I want to move left again. So I'm actually going to use current position for both my right and left movement instead of original position. So now I have the ability to control this and push it even further left, or even further left, or even further right. And I also want on my buttons the ability to stop. I don't want this to just look at it once and then maybe it was an accidental look and then it's flying all the way to the left. So I'm going to add a new event that says when this is stopped, when I'm not looking at this anymore, so look at finish, then I want the other object to stop its animation. And I can just use that exact same event for both of these buttons. All right, so I think this is ready for a test again. So play viewer, look at my drone, have it fly into the air, and now I'm going to look right, look left, and now you can see that I can control this drone very simply. Okay, so now that I have my drone basically programmed and able to fly, and I can actually move it, now I can actually start with some of the more gamified elements where I start maybe counting points or detecting when I hit things, but the real one that I want to start working with is trying to get cars to take away points. That's the kind of the fun one, or being able to dodge cars. And to do that, I'm going to go to my car spawners. So I'm going to click on car spawner 1 and find that car here. All right, so a couple quick notes about my cars and car spawners. On my cars, I have this, you can probably just see it, this trigger that's a part of the car group. And that trigger will simply detect when the drone itself, nothing else, when the drone has entered it, it will show a little explosion, like the drone just smashed into the car. And then I want my experience, so the whole game, to restart. And that's the same thing with each of these cars. So there's not any lives, I don't have any lives for my drone. I don't have, a certain time. Basically, if you get hit by a car, the drone's destroyed and you got to restart. So it's basically, the game's going to be like a high scoring, how long can you survive, how many cars can you get past kind of game. Now, I have 2 kind of simpler cars, and these ones will be spawned, with a pretty high launch power, so pretty high speed, every 2 to 4 seconds for these 2 cars. So I'm going to add them to my spawner. And then I also want a slightly harder car too. And you may notice a difference between these cars. First of which is the lights. So, this car clearly has some, very visible headlights, whereas my car back here, the black car, it's, got tinted windows, the lights are out. So this is going to be much more difficult to see coming from a distance because I don't have those headlights on it. So I'm gonna add that blue car to the spawner, and then my last kind of difficult car I'll add to my final spawner there, car 3 spawner. And since that car is gonna be more difficult, you know, it's gonna be harder to see, it's gonna be moving a little bit faster than everything else, I wanted to spawn it less times than I would spawn these 2 cars. So this one will be about every 6 seconds. It will, and I just want to make sure I have, yep, the right tags and everything on those cars. Okay, so let me just kind of play my scene really quick because I want to see if my car spawning actually works. So I'm going to play my scene, and about 2 seconds, okay, there goes a green car. Nice, there goes a blue car. And there goes my black car. So all my cars are spawning, and you can see kind of the position is a little randomized by the, you know, by the animated spawners there. So that's a perfect setup. And last thing I want to do is on my drone itself, I'm gonna just do a few kind of game, you know, prep pieces, I guess you could call them, to make sure that, you know, I can't fly my drone right or left before the game even starts. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to deactivate these buttons. So deactivate at start. And I'll also deactivate my text and score variable so I don't immediately, you know, see that. I'll just have this drone, and that's, you know, the only thing around me. So, you know, hopefully my player clicks on it. And you know what? Just because this is, I'm going to zero out my rotation. Because this is the beginning of the game, I do need some kind of, you know, instructions for my player. So I'm going to say, this will be the title of my game. So let's, oops, I meant to actually, oops, duplicate that. Okay, there we go. Now I can make this be title, so title text, and this will also include my instructions. So fly highway drone flyer, and I'll call it, say, dodge, or yeah, I need some instructions. So click the drone to play, and then fly, or dodge cars, dodge cars to win. And I'll just put some spaces in between these. And like I said, this will be my title text and kind of intro, you know, intro, you know, like this is how you play the game, text as well. So I'll make this a little bit bigger. Let's go to 25. Click the drone to play. And this one I do want to start at the beginning. So increase that up just a little bit. And red's a little aggressive, so I'm gonna change that font color. Let's go to a little bit more fun. I think that just looks a little bit more fun. Okay. So highway drone flyer, and when I click on the drone, then I want several things to happen, which are some of those play those animations, but I also want my controls to appear. So I want to activate that. Go to my right control, activate that object as well. And I think I disabled these two, so I need to activate them. And then finally deactivate my intro or title text so I can actually see some of those cars coming at me. All right, so deactivate, there we go. So basically just activating some things to be able to play the game, deactivating others. Or deactivating this so I can actually see some of the cars coming at me. All right, so I'm going to play my scene again to test this out. So now I should have, you know, the basics of a game here. So I'm gonna hit my drone to start flying. And I'm gonna go left, right, left. Ah! Okay, so I'm gonna test. Oh, dang it, I did. Okay, that's exactly what I was just about to test. Was, you know, if I do run straight into a car, will the game actually end? And it did. So that was perfect. But I do want to, you know, just kind of finesse and manipulate this scene just a little bit more to make it work well. So I notice since I had duplicated this one, my title text was actually missing, so I'm just going to make sure that is not deactivated at start. And I want to make sure that if my player, tries to have the drone, go really far to the right, let's say over here, or even into the mountain, that if it hits those things, that the game also ends there too, just like if it collides into a car. Because right now I can do this. I'll just show you. So I'll click on my drone and move to the right. So my drone is in my mountain now, and it's just, it's just blasting by. I can just win the game super easily this way. So instead of doing that, I want to, let's see. Let's have that play it normal. Okay, instead of doing that, I want my drone to actually, end the game if it hits any of these rocks or trees and things. And the way that I can do that is I've actually programmed these rocks and trees, or not programmed, it's just adding a tag. But basically I added a little obstacle tag to all these rocks and mountains and things, just saying that these are all obstacles. That's all I really did. I haven't programmed anything yet. And I'll actually do that right now. So I'm going to try and find my drone. There we go, basic drone. And that looks pretty cool now with all the, event or interaction lines coming from it and the animations. All right, but basically I want to say on my drone, if this thing hits any other object, or not any other, that's actually, so on hit target, and if those targets have the tag obstacle, then the experience will restart. So just like if I hit a car, now if I hit the side, the mountains or the trees or something, then the experience will restart, and I will, I'll just have to restart like if I hit, some of the cards. I'll increase that. I'm going to slow that down just a little bit. Okay, so with my scene here, oops, I don't want to save just yet. I want to test that. So now I shouldn't be able to, I can change that text too. I shouldn't be able to, fly into the mountain and hide from the cars. Okay, move to the left. Does it work? Nice. Cool. So my drone just collided with that rock over there. And since I put the hit target, and if that, that rock has a tag obstacle, then it just restarted my game. So now I think my game is pretty much done. So my drone is flying. I'm able to dodge my cars. Now I'm going to see how far I can actually make it. So I'm going to still go to the left, right. Okay, I dodged by some of them. Okay, I have a bunch of cars coming. I'm going to go to the left because this is looking more clear now. Left! Oh, dang. Okay, but I think this would be perfect for virtual reality because, having those cars flying right at you, it will seem like, the car is just inches from your face. So I think this game is pretty much perfect as is. And I'm going to actually save this now, but this version, and this is also something new that I really wanted to emphasize, I'm going to save a new version of this game because I've kind of completed the whole game here. I've set it all up, and I don't want to send that to everybody. I don't want to give everybody, the remixable or template access to my fully made game. I want to give you, as a template would be, it's just kind of like the beginning. So I'll hit File instead of just Save here because I want to create a new version. So I'm not hitting Save. I'm going to hit File, and I'm going to hit Save As. So this will give me the option of actually creating a new project or new experience, and to kind of, let's see, make this look unique or different from the original, I'll see if I can include, some of the text in here. So I'll do highway drone flyer at the bottom and see if I can maybe capture some of those cars in there. Oh, didn't quite get the cars, but now I can actually, so I'll call this highway drone flyer game. And I'll say, check it out on the Oculus Quest. Cool. Because remember, this whole game I've kind of developed around the idea of playing it in VR, specifically playing it on the Oculus Quest. And you can also, now that those templates are up, you can, try playing that yourself. So now, really quick, so on BlocksmithXR, I want to set my fully built game to be view only. So I'm not going to set it to template. I'm going to just do view only. So basically, you know, you can play this game, but you can't take my fully made game and remix it. You can take that template though, and I can show you both of those. So just under everything, here's my fully made game, and here's my template. So definitely on your own time, you know, feel free to, you know, load in that template, you know, add in a drone, and you can really take this, you know, basic game that I've made in all kinds of directions. If you wanted, you could, you know, try and add lives to your drone. So if you hit one car, it's not just game over. You actually have some lives. So you can, you know, possibly have some lives up in the corner, or you could do like a countdown timer. So instead of just forever, how long it, you know, how many cars can you just dodge forever? Instead, you'll have, you know, a little countdown timer. How many cars can you dodge in 20 or 30 seconds? So you can then start getting kind of high scores and that kind of fun stuff too. So you can take this game, or maybe you want to go some other totally different way of a drone flying game, and that's totally fine. And kind of make it your own using those templates. All right, so pretty much done for the day. I do want to say really quickly though, if you enjoyed this stream, please subscribe to the BlocksmithXR YouTube channel, and also the BlocksmithXR 5.3 builder has just been released just yesterday. So if you want, definitely, you know, go download the newest version. If you already have the BlocksmithXR builder installed on your computer, you'll see right up here a little blue button that says update now. You know, you can just click on that and that'll start the auto updater. You know, that's a new feature we had. So, you know, you can auto update your installed builder, or just go right to our download page at blocksmithxr.com to download that 5.3 version. And once again, please, subscribe to our channel, and, you know, follow along with any future streams that we have. We love having you here, and thanks for joining us this time.